Hey y'all, it's Rick here with Uncommon Communion coming to you on a Thursday evening. I did not record a video yesterday. I did my writing on a very special artist that I hope you listen to, Natalie Bergman. I'm going to talk a little bit more about her in the writing that I am going to do for tomorrow. It'll be my regular Friday post. Before we go any further, let's always start as we always start here with remembering, recalling, affirming, and celebrating that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of God and each other. So, I don't know if you saw this yesterday on the 6th, August 6th, but there were two very significant milestone anniversaries of events that are very much relevant for us today. And I was reminded of this today as I was listening to two different people on Substack. I appreciate your listening to me on Substack. I hope that you are reading others, listening to others. I'll be honest with y'all. This is one of my primary sources of news right now. The people that I read and listen to and watch on Substack are people I trust, people like Jim Acosta, people like Terry Moran, people like Joy Reid, and more and more and more. And a couple more names that I'll drop here in a moment. But I hope that you are also finding this independent journalism as a really powerful source of knowledge, truth, insight, encouragement, hope, and so forth. Because I am, absolutely, certainly. But the two things that were anniversaries yesterday, number one, it was the 80th anniversary of the dropping of the atomic bombs. Now, again, there were a few days in between the two. The 6th is the first day. That was, I believe that was Nagasaki and then, Hiroshima. And then the second a few days later was Nagasaki. Interesting little side note. I don't know if you know this or not, but when I discovered this, it was really interesting. Nagasaki was not the original target for that second atomic bomb. I forget what city it was, but Nagasaki was the backup. And it only was bombed because the primary one was clouded over or something like that. But here's what's interesting about Nagasaki. In Asia, early colonialization, early missionaries, mostly the Jesuits, but others, really did not get a huge foothold in Japan. There's a lot about that and many histories you can read about that. But Nagasaki was a very Christian city for centuries. And when the bomb was dropped there, Christians in Nagasaki, including a number of who wrote afterwards, survivors who wrote afterwards, saw it as atonement. They made this connection between Christ's suffering on the cross and their suffering with the atomic bomb. I don't know that I personally make that connection. As far as what God does or doesn't do vis-a-vis atomic weapons in the United States in World War II. But I think it is interesting, that little piece, that Nagasaki was not just any city in Japan. It has a long history of Christianity. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it was yesterday, the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, signed into law by Lyndon Baines Johnson. And again, that was one of the culminations of the civil rights movement. It wasn't the only significant piece of legislation, but it was a big one because it empowered, enabled all people to have a vote and that there would not be obstacles put into their place. So why are these two things particularly relevant today? Well, because T-Rump, as he is doing everything possible to block the release of the Epstein/Trump files. I think we need to start calling that, y'all, because we have reporting that his name is all over those files and that the FBI was busy tracking that and then redacting that. So those are the Trump the Epstein/Trump files, right? But he wants nothing in those released. So he's doing these distractions. One of the distractions, I think this was last Friday, he was talking about Trident nuclear missile submarines threatening Russia, right? So the nuclear history is very much present today. Even more significantly, what is going on in Texas with the attempted gerrymandering that they are doing, and then what came out today with T-Rump wanting a census done early to not count people who are undocumented. Both of these are types of disenfranchising voters and seeking to rig not the 28 election, but the 26 election, the midterms. And the Republicans in Texas have been very outspoken. They have said this is exactly what it is. They want to pick up 5 seats. There is an absolute racial element to that, and it is a travesty. And many blessings and prayers to those Democrats in Texas, those representatives that have fled. They are being protected in, I think, mostly Illinois, but also to those other states that want to fight fire with fire. Yeah, it's a race to the bottom, y'all. It is horrible. I hate to see this. And yet, nevertheless, the only thing that the MAGA will respond to is a show of power. And Democrats, in my opinion, have been way too reluctant, way too afraid, way too scared to use power with force, with nonviolence, and with a sense of justice, fighting not for their own survival, like the MAGA people are all about, or their own egos, their own little fragile little egos, like T-Rump is all about, but fighting for the foundations of American constitutional democracy, which is one vote, one person, period. So this was inspired, what I'm sharing with you, by 2 people that I heard on Substack today, 2 people I listened to. One is somebody that I did not know, who I guess was pretty famous before. He has really, really made a lot of splash on Substack. That would be Don Lemon. He's the one I'll get to second. But the first one is Lev Parnas. Now, Lev Parnas is an interesting guy. First of all, just as a side note, his son Aaron Parnas is tearing it up on TikTok and on other places, really being just an instant reporter, really speaking, especially to young people, but I think to all of us. So if you've not checked out Aaron Parnas, check that out. Lev Parnas, his dad, was in T-Rump's inner circle in the first administration. He and Michael Cohen both were arrested, they were charged, and both of them have become very, very outspoken anti-Trumpers with a twist, because especially Parnas has insider information. He still knows people in MAGA. He's still talking to people in MAGA. He's not, breaking his sources, of course, but he was one of the people who reported that meeting, that secret meeting to gather all the people. You might have seen this. It was going to happen yesterday, Wednesday, at JD Vance's, residence. Apparently, it did not happen, in part because it was reported. I mean, how crazy supervillain summit Austin Powers, is that? Gathering everybody together, and again, it wasn't that gathering wasn't going to be about how do we help the victims, how do we do anything right and just. It was how do we protect T-Rump. And y'all, don't forget, there are many, many, many other people in those files. Rich, white, predominantly men. And if and when those files come out, it is going to blow things apart. And that's what they're trying to suppress. But Parnas was interesting in what he said, that it is Dan Bongino, who's the number 2 in the FBI, who is a problem that some of these other people are trying to suppress. So here's my prediction, y'all. Whoever busts this cover-up, And this will be known as the largest cover-up in American history because it goes back decades. It is going to take down everyone, right? And many, many people. Whoever breaks this, the whistleblower, the one who breaks this, will be known in US history forever. I think Dan Bongino, the PR, the podcaster, I think he wants that. And my money is that he is going to facilitate that somehow we're going to get a photo or we're going to get the documents and it's going to blow this all apart. So we'll see. I want to close, though, by talking about the other voice, which is Don Lemon. And hearing Don Lemon today talk about the Texas redistricting, why they want to do that, why other states, Florida and other red states, are wanting to do this also, he is clear that this is not just racism, it's white supremacy. And here's the thing, y'all. It wasn't until I really started thinking and studying and listening to what does white supremacy mean? It means that there is a belief in white people, by white people, that white people are the default, that they are the way humans are, and everybody else is secondary and subsidiary to that, right? White supremacy is not just about, burning crosses and Confederate flags and, all that, really, really, clear, outspoken stuff. White supremacy is in so many different ways, and it's at the heart of what we are seeing. And Don Lemon today on his show called it out. He's live twice a day, y'all. I think it's only on weekdays, but it's 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern. He goes live. Encourage you to check him out. I'm going to close with a little bit from his book. Got it out of the library. Haven't started reading it yet, I must confess, but I really want to read it because he's an interesting guy. He is a gay man. He's married, and he is a person of faith, a follower of Christ. And he talks about his journey in here. And I'm going to end with this. It's not really a prayer, but it is reality, and it's a reflection. And I hope that it gives us clarity about what we are facing, what we are dealing with, where we are as a nation, and where I hope that we as true followers of the way of Christ can, in whatever way we can, begin to change this. Here's what Lemon says. He says, "We preach in this country equality, but we practice systematic legacy racism. We preach family values, but we practice patriarchy. We preach the right to bear arms, but we practice gun idolatry. We preach freedom of speech, but we practice cancel culture. We preach religious freedom, but we practice legislative morality policing. We preach peace, but we saturate ourselves with social medium venom, toxic tribal politics, and commercialized fear. We keep chewing on the same old bones of contention. Let's get to the marrow." Let's get to it, y'all. I think that is a call to action. It is a call to the challenges we face. It is a call to what we need to keep doing and keeping forward. Our rallying call right now, I think, has to be two things: free and fair elections and release the Epstein-Trump files. That has to happen, y'all. So here's hoping it does. I hope you check out my written post tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for listening. Blessing and good. Be gentle. Be well.